Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 13 of the Cycle Podcast. And officially, my first season is coming to a close. I cannot thank you all enough for listening to the podcast, providing feedback, and supporting me. It means more than you can know. I know I say it in every podcast, but I'm actually just blown away by all the positive feedback and all of the emails and texts and social media DMs. I'm doing this to hopefully help build awareness. And I really am grateful that you're here, and I hope that you can share this podcast with someone who may need to hear it. So today you are going to have just me alone, and I'm testing a new microphone, so hopefully the sound sounds pretty good to you. I've been recording and listening back and seeing how it sounds. It sounds a little bit different, but I think it's going to be okay. So always love your feedback anyway. So you're going to have just me today. And one of the things about recording a podcast like this is, I'm interviewing women and they're telling their stories and it's very personal and they're very concerned about what their friends and family may think. And so I did have a guest this month, and she actually, after our recording, she didn't feel comfortable sharing it, which is 100% okay. I still want to be able to deliver to you though, because I do promise that I'm going to produce a podcast every month. So you are going to have just me this month, no story. I hope that this still brings you value. And, if you are thinking that you want to be on the podcast, we're pretty booked out until next year. But because the popularity and how much everyone's enjoying it and how many brave warriors are wanting to share their story, I potentially may add some advertising that I may feel comfortable with, so I could potentially hire an assistant. And if any of those things sound interesting to you, please let me know. This is all volunteer right now. This is just my side hustle. So I don't really have the financial backing to be able to hire someone at this time. But I think if I added potentially some advertising that made sense in the beginning or the end of this podcast, again, I don't know if I'm 100% comfortable with it. I might be able to hire some help, and I may be able to put out more podcasts. So my goal for season 2, which will start in January of next year, is to at least provide you 2 a month. Right now, I'm only doing 1 a month just because obviously I have full-time job and other crazy stuff going on in life, and I have endometriosis. So doing more than 1 can take a little bit of time, but I want to commit to doing 2 a month next year. And potentially, if I could make a little bit of money to be able to hire an assistant, I may be able to do a 3rd. So I'm thinking potentially 2 interviews and then an informative podcast. But love to hear your feedback. And again, thank you so much for listening. And today, since you just have me, we're going to talk about the top 10 ways to navigate the holidays when you have endometriosis. So this is something that's been on my mind a lot, and 'tis the season. Everybody's very busy no matter what you celebrate. This time of year just seems to be a little bit more chaotic than other times of year. And, the average person who doesn't have a chronic illness is stressed out and overdoing it, and not getting enough sleep and overeating and doing all the things that we do during the holidays because, we think we're having fun and we kind of let things fall by the wayside. So I wanted to give you some things that have helped me just navigating the holidays and honestly, everyday life. So again, here's the top 10 ways to navigate the holidays when you have endometriosis. 1, just say no. Okay, you don't have to do everything. I know you probably want to do everything, and I'm sorry that you can't because you have a chronic illness. I understand it completely, but there's times when you just have to say no. You don't have to go to all the parties. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be a part of everything. If you don't feel well, you have to take care of yourself. And I know that that's hard a hard pill to swallow, especially if you want to be doing all of those things and you're a very, outgoing, extroverted social person. I can imagine how hard this can be. For myself personally, I've gotten a lot better over the past several years. I used to be very big into people pleasing and trying to do everything for everyone. And then I would just be exhausted. And one of the great examples of that is, I have a lot of events with my job and I'm out doing things all the time, 7 days a week. And when I get home, I need that kind of introverted time to regroup. And I feel very bad for my husband because he gets the regrouping Melissa who needs to just be alone or reading or resting or watching movies. And it does feel very unfair. So I'm trying to manage my time better and saying only yes to the things that I really need to be a part of. Obviously, if it's for work, it has to be done. But otherwise, I try to just manage the best I can by saying no. And this time of year, there's so many events and so many parties and so many things to do. Finding a way to say no to certain things will help you not be so stressed and overwhelmed. The second thing, a lot of people travel during this time of year to go see family and friends. And if you are traveling, that's just makes you more exhausted. You might not sleep as well. You're kind of all over the place. You got to pack. You have so many things to do. And then you're going to stay somewhere that isn't your comfort zone of your house. So make sure you pack all of your comfort things, heating pads, cozy slippers, blankets, pajamas, large waisted pants, anything that will make you feel comfortable, because you're already going to be outside of an environment that you're not comfortable in all of the time. Also, don't forget, I have a little pill jar that I bring that does Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it has every day in there. And I put all of my supplements in there. And I don't take any medications right now, but I always make sure that I have Advil on me and then Gas-X as well. And I've actually started just wearing the C-bands for nausea. So, and ginger everything. I always make sure I have ginger gum, ginger mints, and ginger chews with me. Those are constantly in my bag. So just make sure you have everything, because you're going to be outside of what you normally, your comfort zone. So you don't know where every store is going to be. You may not have a car to get there. You could be in a more rural place where they don't have access to the same things that you have access to at home. So coming prepared will make you a lot more comfortable. If you have to fly, make sure that you stand and walk on the plane if you have a long flight. Don't get, stuck in the chair. For me, my legs hurt really bad if I sit too long from Endo. So I do take a short walk up and down the aisleway, or I'll just stand at my seat. Or if you can lay down, if you're on a train or you're in a car, laying down, sitting, just kind of rotating around and not getting super stiff from the travel. And then I also take elderberry every single day, which is a supplement that boosts your immune system. I just take that because outside of endometriosis, traveling during the holidays and everybody has a cold and flu, you don't want to catch that on top of already not feeling well. So that's number 2. Number 3, routine. So if you're like me, I'm a creature of habit. I have the days that I go to the gym, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. I have the days that I rest or go to yoga or meditate, and I have this routine. And when I travel, it does kind of get out of whack. Do your best here, but don't be crazy about it. If you miss a workout or you miss something that's normally in your routine and you're a type A person like I am, it's okay. This is the holiday season. This is the time to relax and let some of those things go. Missing 1-2 workouts, eating 1-2-3 cookies isn't going to derail what you're trying to do. Just moderation. You know what's best. So don't overstress if you miss something or things don't work out because your flight got delayed and now you don't have time to do X when you were planning on doing it. That extra stress is just going to cause you more inflammation, and potentially you could have a flare-up, which you definitely don't want, especially traveling for the holiday seasons or even just being at home and things are closed because of holidays and you just can't get it done. Number 4, sleep. This one is so important and something that I personally did not used to take value in. I would push myself. I would sleep 4, 5, 6 hours at the most a night and try to do 1 million things all of the time. And then I wouldn't wonder on the weekends, I would wonder why I was always so burnt out. And it was because I was never getting enough sleep. So even during this time of year, depending on whatever you may celebrate, there may be different religious activities that keep you up later. There may be just New Year's Eve parties or holiday parties or work parties that keep you out later than normal. Make sure that you're budgeting in your time for sleep. If you have to move things around, definitely trying to get at least 8 hours of sleep, especially when you have endo, is critical to feeling well. Some days I need more than 8 hours of sleep. I mean, there are times that I get less, but during this time of year, if you're off work or you have a little extra time and you're going to be up till midnight, then definitely try and sleep in until at least 8. Again, easier said than done, I know, but make it a priority. Give your body time to repair. Number 5, asking for help. Something else I've been critically poor at in my life personally is asking for help. I try to do it all and be superwoman. And then again, I get to that space where I'm either in so much pain or so exhausted that I literally can't get everything done. And I'm feeling even worse about everything. So if you're hosting an event or you need gifts or, your sister's going to Target, maybe ask her to get a couple of the things that you need if she's already going, or order things off Amazon if you don't have time to run to the store, or there's grocery delivery services now that can be a ton of help when you already have a million things going on. And if you're hosting a party, ask people to help. People want to help. Make it a potluck. Ask someone to bring a side. Ask someone to bring a dessert. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness at all. So ask for help when you need it. You can't do everything. I know you want to, but it's better to just ask for help. And this time of year, everybody wants to be pitching in and helping, especially if you're hosting something at your house. People want to pitch in and help. So allow them to help. Enlist your friends and family. I know that they'll chime in as needed. Number 6, gratitude. If you follow me on any of my social media accounts, quick plug here, at Endo_lady or Melissa Boo on LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, on Instagram. You can follow me on LinkedIn too, but I mostly talk about work there, so I don't think you would enjoy it. And I'm not very active on Facebook, though I do have a Facebook support page if you'd like to join it. It's linked on my website, which I'll link in the show notes for this podcast. But you'll know that one thing that I've really changed over the past couple of years is just trying to be really grateful. I know that everybody says that, and do yoga, be grateful, it'll cure your endometriosis. Look, I know that that's not true. But one thing that writing down 3 things that I'm grateful for every single day has helped shift my mindset is, I don't focus as much on the things that are going wrong or if I don't feel well. I'm focusing on all of the wonderful things that I do have and how lucky I am that I can still walk, that I can see, that I have people who love me. And it helps bring me back to a place where I'm centered and not focusing on the negative things that are going wrong in my life. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I still have hard days. And yes, I still grieve and I don't want a chronic illness, but at least acknowledging those things every day starts my day off in a better place. That's all I'm suggesting. And I know a lot of people have stress with spending time with family during this time of year. So noting those things may help keep your perspective in line a little bit more during potentially difficult times with family or, things you don't want to do during this holiday time. So, you don't have to go get a notebook or anything. You could just jot it down in your phone. You could repeat it 3 things in your head when you wake up in the morning or when you go to bed. This doesn't have to be something that scientific. I personally write down 3 to 5 things every single morning, and that's how I start off my day. So before I leave the house, I make sure I jot those things down. And sometimes they repeat, and that's okay too. But an example of one that I put down today was I was like, I am so grateful I have a dishwasher. That may seem simple, but when you're chronically ill and you don't have to stand and wash dishes, that's something that I really appreciate. Same with a washer and dryer. So anyway, just a little perspective, and maybe this is something that you add to your daily life starting this holiday season. It is scientifically shown to change your perspective and mindset if you write down something that you're grateful for every single day. So might be something worth testing out. If it's not for you, I totally get it. I feel like my next thing, 7, meditation, is also something that people may be skeptical about too. And I don't judge you. I've had a hard time getting in a routine of doing meditation myself personally. I'm very sporadic and I'm not consistent with doing it. But the past, I think it's been 4 weeks, I've challenged myself to meditate every day, which I think, again, is a little aggressive. I think 3 to 4 times a week would be more than sufficient, but I'm trying to teach myself the benefits of what it's giving me if I'm doing it every day. And so I've put myself kind of on this strict program of doing it. This doesn't mean you have to go sit on a pillow somewhere and light a bunch of candles. It can be as simple as sitting down in a quiet room and literally just breathing deeply for 10 minutes. If sitting is too painful, lay down. I typically lay down or I'll lay on a foam roller, and I use the app Headspace. I don't get paid for saying this or anything like that. They have a free version and then they have a paid version. I actually do the paid version because there's so many meditations in there. And if I'm trying to do it every day, I do need to switch it up. But there's a lot of free apps out there, and you don't even need an app. You can sit in a quiet room and legitimately just keep breathing. And if your mind is wandering, that's okay. You don't have to have a clear mind meditate. One thing that you can do that I also do too, and I do this if I can't sleep at night, is you breathe in and you say 1 for 4 counts, and then you breathe out and you say 2 for 4 counts. And do that until you hit 10, and then repeat it. And do that for 10 minutes. For me, not only does it calm my mind in stressful situations, but I legitimately feel my shoulders, my back, and the rest of my body start to relax a little bit. And again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but one thing I can tell you about having endo is that I feel like I'm constantly tight or in like fight or flight mode because my nerves and my body are feeling, kind of hyperactive because I'm in pain. So doing that type of breathing, I feel everything start to relax. If you want, try right now with me. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Do it one more time. Deep breath in. Let it out. Last one. I'll do it with you. Let it out. Even after doing it 3 times in a row, do you feel better? Did you breathe all the way down into your stomach? This is crazy to me. As someone who used to do a ton of yoga, I don't think I ever was doing the proper breathing until recently when I actually started to really focus on it and how much it calmed my body and mind. So again, it's not for everybody, but try it. See if it works for you. If it doesn't, no big deal. Move on to something else. But this is a good way to stay kind of calm and centered, especially again, holiday times are stressful. There's a million things to do, family, all of those things can have you on edge. And if you're very stressed out, inflammation will come, and then hopefully not, but a flare may happen. So you can't predict them, unfortunately. I would never hope that anyone would ever have to go through a flare, especially during this time of year. But with the increased amount of stress, it's a potential that it could happen. Okay, number 8, almost done babbling at you. Food and drink. Yep, this is a tough one, you guys, because no matter how good you try this time of year, there are temptations everywhere. In my office, there has been cookies, chocolate, snacks, everything this whole month, just sitting in our kitchen and rotating every day. There's something new coming, which is very kind and generous. But if you're like me, certain foods really make me feel sick and really flare me up. I'm actually allergic to dairy and I'm gluten intolerant. So I can't indulge in a lot of those snacks, thank goodness. But even if I overdo it with sugar, if somebody brought in something dairy and gluten-free, I will definitely not feel good. And I've been indulging a little bit more because I can eat like gummy candies, and someone brought in gummy Christmas trees, and of course I ate like 4 of them, and I did feel sick after eating them. But I also want to enjoy life. So really, the moral of the story here is finding the balance in what works for you. If you don't normally eat dairy or gluten or sugar, probably not the best time to indulge because you're not going to feel well. It's not worth it. It's not worth the few minutes of delicious pleasure to feel awful for the rest of the day or potentially have a flare-up. That I've learned that lesson the hard way many, many times, and I don't even take the risk anymore. And it still happens even when somebody says there's no dairy or gluten in something, I eat it and I still get sick from it. So careful with the food and drink. Don't go crazy, everything in moderation, but enjoy life and have fun. And, it is the holidays. So if certain foods don't bother you, man, I would do anything for one of those sugar Christmas cookies with like frosting on top and some sprinkles. Oh, I have a sweet tooth. Anyway, alcohol. Not everybody gets flared up from alcohol. Unfortunately, alcohol does not like me, and I already feel hungover most days just from having endo. If I drink, I feel pretty terrible the next day. So I may in moderation have like half a glass of wine, which is unfortunate because I actually really enjoy wine and or a cocktail, but it's not worth it, especially if I'm already stressed out and tired because I'm running around crazy because it's the holiday season. So just something to think about. Again, I know women that can drink and have endo and it doesn't affect them. So you have to really just figure out what works best for you. Just know that alcohol is can have an inflammatory response for some people. Definitely does for me, unfortunately. Leave early. You're at a party, you're at an event, and you live close or locally, and maybe you're there with friends, maybe you're there with family. Bring an extra car or think about Ubering home by yourself. Don't force yourself to stay there if you're not feeling well. And if people give you a hard time, that's their problem. I know so many people do not understand what it's like to have endometriosis, and I deal with it too. I think in the past few years, it's gotten a little bit better for me because I've been advocating so much. But I meet a new woman every single day that says, my family doesn't believe me, or I have to share somebody else's story for my family to believe me, and you want to go home and they think you just want to go home. If they don't understand, then that has to be their problem. I know that sounds harsh, but if you have to take care of you, and if they don't understand, then it's time for you to find a way home, Uber, take your own car, take the subway, however you need to get home. But you shouldn't have to wait around because other people aren't ready to leave yet and you are. This is something, again, I used to struggle with. Now, my husband and I, everywhere we go, he knows we take 2 cars or we find a way, either he Ubers home or I Uber home if we're going to do something. And there are still times if we go to a sporting event or something like that where we don't take 2 cars and I do have to stay even if I'm not feeling well. And I force that. But if there are options or places you're going where you can take 2 cars or you can find an alternative route home, always just have that available to you just in case, so you don't feel like you have to stay somewhere. Number 10, and the last one, love. Take a moment to enjoy your time with family and friends. Put your phone down, leave it in your purse, ignore it, and actually laugh, spend time, hug, show gratitude, and give the people that you love in your life as much of your attention as you can. And I know this can be difficult for some because people have difficult family situations, but that goes back to the gratitude as well. Being grateful for having all of these people in your life, even if they can be bothersome sometimes. This may be one of the only times this year you get to see them. Make the best of the situation as you can and just be kind. Other people may be rude, they may not treat you nicely, and that may hurt and make you upset. But at the end of the day, rise above it and try and make the best of it. Again, I know a lot of these tips are easier said than done. It's something I personally work on every single day myself, and I struggle with a lot of these things too. But I just wanted to put together 10 quick tips that might help you this holiday season as all of the holidays are approaching. I really appreciate you guys listening to this, and I'm sorry I don't have a story to share this month, but get ready for next year because I think it's going to be pretty amazing, and I'm doing everything I can to work on what I'm talking about, who I'm bringing to the show, the sound, all of that. This is all work in progress. I literally, in January when I started this, I had no idea what was going to happen with it. And I, again, am just so thankful for all of you for listening and giving me a chance, and everyone who's already been on the show and shared their story. I cannot thank them enough for their bravery to come out and talk about what's happened to them. And lastly, I've had a lot of women who have had feedback that said sharing this podcast with someone they loved helped validate their pain more. I don't think that that's right, but if you can share this with your mom or your dad or your uncle or your sister or your cousin, your best friend, maybe not this particular episode, but one of the stories, it may help them understand how much you're going through. And maybe that they'll find empathy in their hearts and be a little bit easier on you, because this disease doesn't have a lot of recognition. It doesn't mean that that's an excuse for people not having empathy for what you're going through, but they just don't understand. I'm wishing you all a wonderful holiday season, being pain-free as possible. And again, thank you so much for listening. And I'm here for feedback, ideas, anything that you can offer. I am here. Or if you produce a podcast and you have any ideas on how we can improve or what we can do, these are all things I'm looking into for 2020. I'd like to start making the podcast video as well. I have some ideas on how to do that, but all a work in progress. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Wishing you the best day and take care.